In this video, we will be removing a fender from a Generation 3 Ford Explorer. If you have a Ford Explorer from 2002 to 2005, this should be how you will remove a fender from your vehicle. Alright, someone pulled out of a turn lane into me as I was driving down the road at speed. I hit my brakes as hard as I could, but we still managed to clip each other. They just had a couple of scuffs on their rear bumper. The front corner of my vehicle got a little messed up. So I'm gonna go through the process of removing everything that is damaged. Today I wanna make sure I get this fender off of here, mainly, because if you look real close, this being pushed back, even though it looks like a pretty decent gap right here, it being pushed back just a few, millimeters or so is causing it to rub on my door. And so before I get down to bare metal by opening it too many times, I wanna get this fender off of here. The first things first is to remove this little guard. All right, here are some tools you might need for the job today. My fender is kind of bent up, so I kind of need some lineman's pliers or something to straighten some stuff out. You'll see that later. Primarily, you'll just need something to pull off all these little push tabs, little plastic push tabs, and some sort of socket set to remove the 8mm. There's a 10mm size and a 7mm, as well as some Phillips head. I do have the Linus Tech Tips screwdriver. However, due to the location of all these screws, I couldn't find a way to fit that in there for most of the time unless you remove the tire. I didn't remove the tire. I attached a quarter socket on here with a Phillips to remove most of my screws. Everything else, I just used either the 8mm, 10mm, 7mm. There's a couple of spots where you kind of need to get at some angles, so I used some rounded off extensions. Throw this little swivel piece in there to get in this really awkward location. And if you really have some trouble with some of the stuff, you could use that. I didn't need it. This is like a hammer drill. You hammer it and it twists as you hammer to help you remove any stubborn screws and bolts and stuff like that. Okay, so after looking at it more thoroughly, it looks like you need to take out this whole splash guard, including that back there, before we take out the fender. So there is a screw right here. There's a screw back here. There's these two screws. There is this pull tab, that pull tab. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 more pull tabs, and then a screw right here, and then a screw right up there. And it looks like this screw got broken off of this, so I don't need to remove that screw to take off this splash guard. So basically the process will be removing the entire splash guard and then to the next step. So I actually left all these on. It seems to just be connected to this, not to the fender or anything like that. And I did miss one of those. So there's two. There's one way back there and one right here. And then there's those two over there. These two in the center were these small ones. And the two that were in the front, connected to this, I put them in here so I didn't, mistake them, but are really big. So you can see, so far, on the front end, we're looking at least 4 different types of push pins. So I was trying to pull this out and it felt like it was still stuck. And I was wondering if one of these 4 were still holding it in, and it's not one of these 4. It's that one way back there. Now I can get to it. I have long arms. It might be easier if you just take out the tire. I don't have a jack with me. I don't want to pull anything out of the trunk. So I'm just going to leave my tire on there, using these two together to pry it out. And to remove the screws, luckily every screw that I've removed is exactly the same. Again, I just been putting them back kind of where they go. so I don't lose track of them. These two go in the part that's still installed. I just used one of these because I have it available. You can use like a ratchet set. I put a 1/4 inch on here, and then a real short stubby thing. With the tire still on, I mean, you look, like I was barely able to fit into here. With a regular ratchet would have been fine. With a screwdriver, impossible. Shout out Linus Tech Tips screwdriver. I love this thing. I use it almost every day. But I was unsure if any of my stuff was going to be stuck. Luckily it wasn't, but I do have, this is like a hammer tool. You put a bit inside there, and then as you hammer it down, it twists the front. So instead of like trying to push and twist, or you just leave it there, set it to, you know, loosen, and then as you hammer it, the tip of it will twist. So you can hold it and this part will twist. I've only ever had to use that like once, but it is so useful when you really need it. I'd highly recommend getting a set of those put on your wish list or something. But yeah, those are amazing when you need them. I'm gonna pull out this last tab that's behind the tire like I showed you, and then we'll get the rest of this splash guard out. So that last push tab was actually more similar to all the ones that were around here versus the others. But yeah, I don't know what this is. This is like literally just floating around inside. Probably figure out what the hell that goes to and re-secure it. And now that I'm in here, you can get a lot better look. You can see this little fender cover is attached inside here. So you can't even detach this one without getting all this stuff out of here. Go ahead and grab some PB Blaster. Always keep this in my car just in case. These look pretty rough. They don't look too bad, but these two bolts are the ones that everyone says are bad. I'm gonna spray some stuff. I gotta get that one there. I think just these two here, along with all these up here, then we should be good. But I'm gonna let this PB Blaster sit on these for a little while. So these are the two screws I gotta remove underneath. Let's try a 5/16. Too small. 11/32. Real loose. Pretty loose. About 8mm. Too small. 9mm. Very loose. Oh my gosh. Let's try the 11/32. No, it's just spinning. It's literally just spinning. Let's try the 9mm. Also just spinning. Nope. 8mm just spinning. And 5/16 is too small. I'm wondering if it's at 5/16, but the paint is covering it or something. I don't know. All right, with those top ones being 5/16, I'm gonna try the 5/16 again. I'm gonna use this longer one. After removing the camera out of the way, I was able to kind of hold the short one and hammer that in there. All right, so that's it. Try to find the flat side, line up a flat side with a flat side. See, this one's a little bit harder because the step rail thing is in the way. I'm just looking at this and trying to make sure the corners match up with the corners. Let's see if I can hammer it with my... Oh, we're ripping all the paint off. Maybe it'll just go on there now. Yeah, there we go. There we go. You can see the paint was kind of stuck to the washer, so this whole thing kind of dropped down with it. So the other two that we need to remove are right here. And then up here. You can see how loose it's getting. All right, so I jumped up to the top just to test this out, and I have a 5/16 on here. It worked on these real well, but I got another issue, and that is how to get back here. Put a little extension on here. It's at an angle and I can't get straight enough. But I have these, like, these are kind of rounded, so they kind of let it swivel a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and change this out. Let's see if we can get in there. See the difference? So this one is square and this one is rounded. All right, it's a little better, but still not great. So I picked up this other stubby, so I'll be able to sort of pivot on this one and pivot on this one, and hopefully I can get in there a little more straight on. I don't want to strip out the head of this nut. You can see it's very wiggly now, you know what I mean? Yeah. So now I'm almost perfectly straight. And there we go. I don't know if this is gonna fit, but now that it's loosened, it's loose, but it's still hard to spin. Just need something with a little bit better grip. See, I can grab this socket a little bit more, that short one, just to show you, like, the hood does not open anymore. I think these are the last two, here and back here. 10 mil, perfect. That's loosened. Crazy how it came out a good quarter to half an inch, and it it's still so tight. So that's why I had to put PB Blaster on it. I can only imagine how worse it would be if it didn't have any PB Blaster. So just for clarity purposes, these are the two that came from back there towards the driver's side door, up there and there. These are the two that came from the front bumper area, like right around up here. These are the four that came from the top. And then these are the two that came from underneath. So these 6 are the same length. And then these are a little shorter, these two that come by the door. The next step is to take out the headlight so we can take out the tail light, so we can access the 2 bolts that are back here. This headlight is pretty easy to take out. It's just got these couple of pull tabs. You pull these up and you pull the headlight straight out. And then I think there's only 1 screw holding in that turn signal. There we go. With that loose, these simply just pull right out. So mine might look a little different than yours. I actually upgraded to LEDs, and I'm hoping my LEDs are still fine. So these are just some aftermarket LEDs that go into the headlights. It's like 7 millimeters. Why is everything so different? So this should just pop out too, but as you see, mine is all sorts of jammed in there. The back was broken, so the light bulb just popped right out. I might upgrade this to LED as well. These are our last 2 that we got to get out. So I'm going to jump back up to 8 mil. And last one. You see how it's very loose now? That was the last bolt holding everything in. All right, so there's a pin right here. You see that pin right there? So this is the frame, and there is a hole on here. Now that this whole thing is loose, that hole right there was where that pin went. Job's done, everything's off. I can now drive my vehicle with it getting in and getting out without damaging it. We're fast forwarding to after I got the new one installed, but I hope this video was helpful in teaching you how to remove the fender from a Generation 3 Ford Explorer. A reminder, that's years 2002 to 2005. In the next video, we'll dive deep into how to remove a headlight, so please subscribe and hit that bell icon in order to get the notification to see the next video when it comes out.